Last week, reverse grid rule put Volkswagen Vento Cup 2015 junior champion Pradeep Rao on pole position, and he maintained his race lead till the 8th lap of the race, until a racing incident brought the red flags out and the race had to be restarted. Once the track was clear, post the restart, Pradeep made a mistake which charging Ishan used to make his race-winning maneuver. Guest driver Dhruv Behel finished second and Niranjan Todkari completed the podium.
Hello and welcome to Pits to Podiums, where we bring you an exclusive coverage of Volkswagen Vento Cup 2016. In this episode, we followed the 8th race of the season. Racing, like any other form of sport, involves high level of adrenaline and a strong desire to succeed. However, while making his or her first claim to the victor's crown, a driver must ensure that he or she remains within the boundaries of the set rules. Or else, no points for guessing, it calls for a penalty. So what are these rules? For that, he or she must read the supplementary regulation for their championship. Outside of this, all the other points involving these set of rules and regulations is what we discuss in this discussion. So we are here in a conversation with Mr. Amit Arora, who's the GM Operations at the Madras Motorsports Club. So Amit, we want to understand how should a driver's code of conduct be when it comes to a race weekend? What are the rules and regulations that are defined?
Yeah, see, any motorsport event is governed by the FIA Sporting Code, which is the parent body to conduct motorsport around the world.
Right.
Then we are governed by a national federation, which is the Federation of Motorsports Clubs of India.
Right.
Okay, so we have another set of regulations which are called the supplementary regulations, which are governed by the main code of the FIA. It's in the big umbrella. Under the umbrella, we have the sporting code of the event. So all the rules, regulations, what a competitor needs to follow, what the officials, what is the procedure for anything, everything is written in this code,
Right.
which is the supplementary regulation or the sporting regulations.
Right.
So every penalty or to do something wrong, say like a jump start. So if there is a jump start, what is the penalty? Or if a driver has knocked off somebody from the track, what is the penalty? So
Right.
everything is clearly defined in this code, which is the sporting regulations. So as per that, there is the race director, there is the clerk of the course. These
Right.
are the two heads.
Right.
The race is totally governed by the race director. So if there are if it's a jump start, the race director informs that fine, this competitor, so and so competitor has a jump start. It's referred to the stewards. Stewards are like referees. Like in a football match, there's a referee. So the referee then takes the decision and
Right.
says, okay, give him this penalty, which is given in the code. And that's the way it's followed. And all competitors are supposed to read the supplementary regulations before they take part. So
Right.
they are also well aware of what the rules are, what the penalties are, everything, and it's just followed that way.
Right, so when a driver is out on the track and he does something that's outside of the rules and he's penalized for it, how does he get to know about the penalty?
Yeah, things like a jump start is made, there's a public announcement on the PA system that such and such a competitor has a jump start, and if he's given a drive-through penalty, it is then conveyed to him with a board which says jump
Drive-through.
start and drive-through.
Right.
Or there are other penalties which are decided after the race, because certain things you need to review a video.
Yes.
So after the review, the panel of stewards, it's a 3 stewards who form the panel of stewards, they would review the video and then give the penalty. The system is so transparent, before taking a decision, even the competitors who are involved are called for.
Okay.
They are heard that, okay, what happened, both the parties are heard and then a decision taken.
Right.
So the competitors are well aware, the stewards have spoken to everybody, they've taken into account everything, the video, the competitors, everybody, and then the decision is arrived.
Okay, what about a situation where a driver is given a penalty, but then he or she thinks that it's not correct? So can they raise a voice against it?
Sure, see, basically the rules are there. Say I am a competitor, I am not happy with something else what another competitor did. I always have the right to protest. I put in a protest on that particular competitor that no, I don't think this is right, what you've done is right. So on that basis, then the protest is heard and a decision taken.
Okay.
Then, or even if a decision is taken by the stewards, you're not happy with it, there is a procedure called an appeal. The competitor has a right to appeal the decision of the stewards, which goes to the court. That is, there is a motorsport court, which is called the IMSAC. So then there is a proper panel of judges who are appointed. It goes to the federation. The competitor who is appealing against the decision is given a full rights. He has 3 days time to file in what are his grounds of appeal, everything, and then a proper court proceeding is conducted and the final decision taken. But the system is always transparent, it's always open, you always have the right for redressal. It's not that you have decided it's over. There is redressal, so it's a proper transparent system and you always get the right. I mean, you know, at different stages it's handled differently like a proper court and the final decision is taken.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. You heard it from Amit. The supplementary regulation is a driver's Bible which they must know inside out, because this can not only save them from doing something out of the rules and then getting penalized for it, but also tell them that whenever they have done an action which they think is correct, then yes, they can go and appeal against it. But don't go anywhere, because on the other side, the cars line up for the 8th race of the season. Keep watching Pits to Podium. Welcome back, and here we are on the grid again for the 8th race of the season, of the 2016 season of Volkswagen Vento Cup. We've got Rayo with us for his expert comments, being the driver coach. Ishan Dodiwala, last race's winner, is standing at the pole position, starting from pole this race. And Keith, who's been charging, who's been very aggressive and hot at this track because he's got so much of track time here, is starting second, Karminder on the third. So the deadly trio that's there is right there next to each other. And what do you have to say? How will the view at the first corner be?
Definitely, this is going to be one of the best races of the season that we've had so far. The three quickest drivers starting first, second and third. Karminder will obviously be looking at making up quite a bit of ground that he's lost over the last couple of races. Keith also wants to make amends for the last race. And Ishan is relatively safe. He's got more points in hand and can play around. So he's not going to be wanting to leave the, let go of the lead in the front. And you have Niranjan right behind, who's also capable of being very quick. So it's going to be a very exciting battle up front for sure. And I would expect Karminder to make a few moves maybe.
So Dhruv, who finished second in the last race, in the 7th race of the season, is right there, not very far behind Niranjan. What do you have to say about his last race's performance and his performance overall in this weekend?
I think fantastic being a guest driver coming in straight away into the race. His performance has been fantastic. He was quick throughout practice. I think in qualifying, when the grip increased, he wasn't really able to gauge that the grip had increased so much, obviously because he hasn't driven the whole season, whereas the rest of the drivers did have that experience behind them and were able to capitalize. So his qualifying wasn't so good. He's a little bit behind, but otherwise he's capable of being right on top as well.
So if you were to make one pick, who would the race winner be?
One pick, it's got to be Ishan. He's starting on pole, so he has an advantage for sure.
So driver's pick there is Ishan. We can't say what's our, who do we put our money on, but all we know is the last race, the 7th race of the season, was very, very exciting. All the racing action probably so far was put together into one race and we had it in front of us. All that we want now is an equally exciting race, and all the very best to the drivers.
Third race of the weekend was cleaner as compared to all the action witnessed in the first 2 races. Ishan drove flawlessly through the race for a pole to podium race finish and increased his championship lead. Behind him was a fight between Keith and Karminder, who started 2nd and 3rd respectively. With a better race start, Karminder managed to overtake Keith around the first corner of the first lap. Keith tried to challenge Karminder on the 4th lap between C2 and C3, but made a mistake and had to settle for the 3rd. Further, on the 7th lap, Keith made another mistake at the last corner of the track, ran wide and allowed Niranjan to overtake and grab the 3rd position on the podium. Keith finally had to settle for 4th position, followed by guest driver Dhruv Behel in 5th.
So again, this is race 3 of round 3 and the same extremely hot conditions of Chennai. But again, this was a really straightforward win, I think, for me, because I just had to get a good start, get into C1 into the lead and put out qualifying laps one after the other. I built up a little bit of a lead over Karminder after the 3rd lap, and I just tried to maintain it there. Towards the end, the track temps had really gone up, so I was just trying to maintain the gap and not push too much. Try and get in consistent but safe laps so that I can come to the checkered flag and take it. So yeah, that's what I did, and I'm really happy with the win.
I started 3rd, finished 2nd. Not the best of the races. I was having problems upshifting. Was not able to catch Ishan, but managed to pull away through the pack. Not the most happiest because the points between me and Ishan have increased now. So looking forward for Budh now. I'll take this as it comes.
In the race 3, I started from 4th. And I had a decent start and I was holding the 4th position. I was keeping up with Karminder and Keith in front of me, but Dhruv was putting a lot of pressure from behind. So I was falling behind, but once I pulled up the gap from Dhruv, I was able to catch up with Keith and Karminder again. But then I started to put pressure on Keith and he started to make mistakes, which is where I got the opportunity to overtake him, and then I finished 3rd.
short break, but on the other side of the break, we follow the final race of the championship for the other categories of the MMSC FMSCI Indian National Racing Championship. Keep watching Pits to Podiums. Welcome back. And it's the final showdown for the other categories of the MMSC FMSCI Indian National Racing Championship. Let's just go and follow all the action from the final race of the championship, and let's see who wins the ticket to the road to Indy.
"22-year-old Chennai lad Vikash Anand won both the races in the final round of the championship to clinch the title in the MRF Formula 1600 category of the MRF MMSC FMSCI Indian National Racing Championship and a ticket for the Mazda Road to Indy Shootout. With the championship having gone to the wire, Vikash Anand and Karthik Tharani were locked on 138 points. Anand won the last race of the championship to put his name on the trophy. Also achieving a double was Raghul Rangaswamy, who won both the races in the F1300 Rookie Championship in the final round and annexed the title. He later went on to claim the championship in the Super Stock class after Race 2 winner Viresh Prasad was given a 20-second penalty for overtaking under yellow flags, which demoted him to 4th place. The result saw Raghul and Viresh tying on 142 points. Raghul was declared champion on the basis of 3 wins to Viresh's 2 on the countback, which was employed to break the tie. Goa's Keith D'Souza topped the Indian Junior Touring Cars class with a crucial win which helped him finish on 199 points, while his nearest rival Anant Pitawala from Mumbai ended upon 191. Coimbator's Arjun Narendran, who had already clinched the championship in the Premium Indian Touring Cars class, ended the season with a double for a tally of 240 points, well clear of Bengaluru's Deepak Paul Chinnappa, who finished on 135.
I'm Keith D'Souza. I'm just finished the IJTC National Championship race. This was the last race of the round. I came into this race with a 1-point lead with Anant all over my tail, but then I just managed to pull in a defensive race. First time I've had a defensive race the entire season. First time a defense was tested. Just managed to keep him back and win the championship. But I think he drove a brilliant race. He was all over me for all the laps until the last lap. Best championship I've had so far.
I started third, Keith started second. We were fighting for championship. There was a difference of 1 point between us. And at C2, C3, we were like first, second. And we were fighting amongst ourselves, and the safety car came out. Then about 3-4 laps, safety car was out, and then we had a fight again for about 5 laps. Closing in, but I think timings were almost the same, so there was no room to overtake unless I could take him out or something. Otherwise, legitimately there was no chance to actually overtake him on the track.
I won the Indian National Touring Car Championship. This is my 3rd championship in a row, so I'm very happy. I would like to thank the team Red Rooster Performance. They've done a brilliant job in giving me a winning car.
I participated in 3 categories. In the Formula LGB 1300 category, I won all the races that happened in Chennai. And in the Formula 1600 category, it was really a tough time for me because I got a fractured wrist and my ankle was fractured. So it was really physical for me to drive that car. but I managed to finish top 3 in the championship. I grabbed the 3rd place in the championship.
Congratulations to the other winners of the other categories in the national championship, and also to my sponsors, Power Soaps, for this year in the 1600, and also to VW Motorsport for backing me from 2013, and it's just a big family, and the love and support that I get from them, it's exceptional. Whether win or not, they're still there.
Brings us to the end of this episode of Pits to Podiums. Join us in the next episode as we head to the country's Formula One track, the Budh International Circuit, for the season finale. You can download the We Love Motorsport app on your Android phones or iPhones and follow the finest motorsport racing action from Volkswagen Motorsport at your fingertips. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for all live feeds and updates, and on Instagram for some cool pictures. Till then, thank you so much for watching, and remember, better safe than sorry. Remember that on the roads.
Next week, the championship enters into its final round at the country's Formula One circuit, the Budh International Circuit. Join us and see who wins the overall and junior championship titles of Volkswagen Vento Cup 2016.